Thank you for joining me for 5 More, our new podcast where we take just a little bit more time with the text. Without any further ado, let's jump into it. I love that the letter from Peter starts out with our initial focus as believers, that we are to primarily focus on an inheritance that is not of this world, that every single one of our efforts here on this planet is not to further anything for ourselves. We are not to build a kingdom or an empire or anything amazing here on earth. Everything awesome that happens and that we experience is because God is pouring out His goodness because we are being faithful servants, not because we are doing well ourselves, not because we are stewarding well. We steward well because we want to do good. We steward well because we are good disciples, and good disciples steward well what they are given. There has been too much of a cautious nature placed on stewardship, as though our stewardship could make God more pleased with us, as though that is our token into heaven. Now granted, if we willingly squander what God has given us, surely He will be displeased. Only reference the parable of the 10 minas. We are not to be concerned, focused on, or infatuated with this world and everything in it. Though God's goodness exists within it, it is not limited to it. In fact, it far surpasses it. Whatever the goodness God has given us, the love of our lives, grandchildren, surely all of it pales in comparison to the glorious day that we are wed to Jesus forever. And in the same way, we ought to be excited for the day that those we love have everything they ever thought they never needed. They are living in the fullness and presence of Christ, our Savior. And isn't that truly what we are living for? If we are living for mere moments, fleeting, vain sections of life, moments of happiness with people and earthly things that we love and enjoy, are we not living for something other than the fullness of God? And though sure God is present in those moments, isn't He more present absent them? Isn't He more present in the moments where it is purely the King and I? More accurately, the King and the Son of the King who lives in me. And so we ought to seek to store up these treasures in heaven, treasures that will never pass away, for all these fleeting moments are but vanity. And so Peter calls us to live holy, because the one who lives in us is holy, to live a life that is utterly set apart from the concerns and worries of this world. We all know we are passing, or rather passing through. We are moving on to a greater glory, and so we must do good as Jesus did good. We must march forward towards the inevitable fate of this temporary world, doing as much good as we can on our way out. To think that we prolonging our lives is helping anyone is foolishness, as though we are the sole agent of God's will. What arrogance and vanity that would be. Surely, if God has spoken, He will do it. Otherwise, dry bones would not rise up. Gideon would not have conquered armies. Moses would not have led the Jews through the desert, nor would they have come out of Egypt. Nor would the Son of Man lay down His life for all of humanity, that we may never taste death, because He tasted it once and for all of us, for eternity. So now we live in the fullness of freedom, the fullness of joy, dikaiosune, the way we are supposed to be, if only we choose to love Him and do what he says. Thank you for joining me for this episode of 5 More. Be sure to join back up with me again tomorrow morning, right after First 5. Until then, God bless you.